Listen to the record of an eyewitness. Quote, "A person close to Hitler told me that he wakes up in the night screaming and in convulsion. He calls for help and appears to be half paralyzed. He is seized with a panic that makes him tremble until his bed shakes. He utters confused and unintelligible sounds, gasping as if at the point of suffocation. Hitler was standing in his room, swaying and looking all around as if he were lost. 'It's he, it's he, it's he! He's come for me!' he groaned. His lips were white. He was sweating profusely. Suddenly he uttered a string of meaningless figures, then words and scraps of sentences. It was terrifying. Then suddenly he screamed, 'There, there, over in the corner, he's there!' And all the time he was stamping his feet and screaming," end quote. That's Hitler. By the way, have you ever heard of the Rosicrucians? They have a place right down here. They're tied to the same thing. Same Tibetan occultism. So are the people who belong to a system called Theosophy. You may have seen that. By the way, further, the 7 founders of Nazism were all involved in the occult. They promised to commit suicide if they ever broke their pact, and they promised also, according to Haushofer, to perform human sacrifice, which Haushofer did in the sacrifice of his wife, which amounted to a sacrifice to Satan. And because of their magical reasons, they exterminated 750,000 gypsies as a part of the occultic activity. Further, Pauwels and Berger say one cannot help but think of Hitler as a medium. For most of the time, mediums are ordinary, insignificant people. Suddenly they are endowed with what seems to be supernatural power, something outside their own personality. It was in this way, beyond any doubt, Hitler was possessed by forces outside himself, demoniacal forces of which the individual named Hitler was only the temporary vehicle." End quote. And you know what's most interesting? As I read about this, I found that his eyes were the eyes of a person in a trance, and his face turned bizarre, and people said that when he spoke in public and gave speeches, the voice that he used was not the voice that was his own. Hitler said, "What will the social order of the future be? Comrades, I will tell you," he said. "Over all will reign a new and exalted nobility, of whom I cannot speak." And what he was talking about was demon rule. He was Satan's man to bring about Satan's dominion. Satan convinced Hitler he was the leader of a new race of beings, man-God beings, the super race he kept talking about. He became obsessed with it. And he started slaughtering anybody who got in his way. Hitler asked Himmler to exterminate the Jews, 6 million of them. He had become convinced that every Jew on earth must die. Hitler said this, "There's another species of humanity which doesn't deserve the name, left as a relic of some baser form of life, created along with hideous crawling creatures, gypsies, Negroes, and Jews," end quote. That was Hitler. He went on to say, "They are as far removed from us as animals from humans. I don't mean I look on Jews as animals. They are much further removed from animals than we are. They are creatures outside nature. Our revolution is a new stage, the final stage in an evolution which will end by abolishing history." End quote. So who was Hitler? Satan's man. And he's a perfect illustration of what Satan can do when he gets a hold of the right man to con a whole society of intelligent people into believing this is the way to go. Incredible. Will there be an Antichrist? Don't doubt it. Hitler may have been a good shot at Satan's effort to make one then, but God had other plans. But there's coming a day when this man is going to come, and he's going to be like 100 Hitlers put together. Thanks be unto God that even though Israel does listen to him, and Israel hears, watch this, that at the same time he begins to tear into Israel. At that same hour, God begins to redeem Israel and call them out. And it doesn't end with Antichrist. Listen to this. The faithful shepherd, the true shepherd, the despised shepherd, the rejected shepherd is going to come back. And Zechariah says, they will look on him whom they've pierced, and they'll mourn for him as one mourns for his only son. And they'll look up and they'll see Christ, and they'll say, "We made a mistake. This isn't our shepherd. He's our shepherd." And he'll save them, and he'll take them into his kingdom.